local history, local culture, local events, your community. This is the Joe Kelly Show.
Hi there, everybody. Welcome to the show. We are at the Oneida County Correctional Facility at Judd Road in Oriskany. We're talking with the Oneida County Sheriff, and that's Rob Maciol. We'll be showing you around the facility in just a minute, but first we want to say thanks for letting us come in.
Absolutely, very welcome. It's kind of neat.
It is, yeah.
That you're off-site and chose this as one of your spots to do the show from, so we're glad to have you.
Thank you. You're in your fourth term.
Fourth term.
13th year, right?
13th year as the sheriff. Been in law enforcement for 35.
Yeah.
And it gets more challenging every year.
Yeah, why so?
I just think policing has changed a lot over time. Probably our biggest challenge right now internally is recruitment. Law enforcement agencies across the state are struggling with recruitment. I was just speaking earlier today. When I took the entrance exam 35 years ago, on a local level there were hundreds of people taking the exam. I've taken state level tests, more than 3 decades ago. There were thousands of people taking the exam. That doesn't exist anymore. Sure, we're still doing the same traditional recruitment efforts, but the different thing that law enforcement agencies have to do now, whether we're talking on the law enforcement side of our house here or the correction side, we have to bring our show to the people. We don't have people, no police agency in this country anymore has people knocking their doors down to come join their forces. We have to go out into the community. So we have to think outside the box. We have to go speak at public events. We go to churches. We go to schools. We even work with younger kids, even though that's not a short-term fix. It's a long-term fix, trying to let them know that we're no different than them. And there's great opportunities in this career. I say it all the time. This is one of the few jobs that exist out there where you go to work every single day knowing that you're going to make a positive difference in someone's life. And that's a pretty neat feeling. It may sound corny to some people, but like I said, police officers, correction officers, troopers, deputy sheriffs, whoever, we go to work, we put our, I'm not on the front lines anymore, but our people put their lives on the line every day, but in the end, their goal is to help people, and we help people every single day, and that's a pretty rewarding and pretty neat feeling.
You talk about thinking outside the box to recruit. I was just watching some YouTube videos last night, and you know how they show commercials in the YouTube videos. There was a police department in Colorado, Parker I think it was, that was advertising for people to move out there to join their department.
We see it all the time, and we get out-of-state agencies reaching out to our people through various marketing tools. But, we never thought years ago that you'd have to go out and make regular commercials to recruit people. Because there are some people who want to join this career path who want to get into forensics. We can accommodate that. There are some people who want to be part of a SWAT team. We can accommodate that. There are people who want to, patrol on boats, or in boats, I should say, and on snowmobiles. We can accommodate that. There are people that want to be FAA pilots. We can accommodate that. We have a fully staffed UAS, an unmanned aerial systems unit here. We don't have a helicopter, but we have the next best thing. We have multiple drones of all shapes and sizes. So it's not just your traditional police work, and we can hire part-time, we can hire full-time, we can hire retirees. We have opportunities for everybody here at the Sheriff's Office.
How big is this facility?
Facility is very large. The correctional facility has 632 cells. 1798, this place was started. There were 2 cells. Fast forward today, there's 632 cells in the city of Utica. And we can show you some pictures here on the walls. We have around the various locations in the facility, the original jail, and then the new facility here in the 60s, and then it was updated in the 80s, and then it was updated in the late 90s, and that's what we sit here today in the new part of the facility.
You mentioned pictures on the wall. I'm looking at that gentleman right over there. Who is that?
That is Charles Camelor. Charles Camelor was the first deputy sheriff that was shot in the line of duty. He was in a gunfight in the city of Utica. They were working a bootlegging detail in the city, and he was shot and killed in the city of Utica, actually where the new hospital sits today. That's where he was murdered, in that general vicinity. But he was one of our first members of the sheriff's office killed in the line of duty.
And talking about in the line of duty, I see also on that same wall, Kurt Wyman, Deputy
Yes.
Sheriff Kurt Wyman.
Kurt was shot and killed in the line of duty on June 7th, 2011. I was just figuring out how to be the sheriff back then, just a few months on the job when Kurt was murdered, and that was definitely a very dark day in our community and certainly here at the sheriff's office.
How is it coming on his Memorial Park?
Memorial Park is actually it's amazing. The committee that came together, most of which never knew Kurt, but the Deputy Wyman Memorial Park Committee came together over a decade ago. They hold fundraisers every year. They actually have their annual motorcycle ride and fall festival coming up in a couple weeks. And just prior to that, they're going to be doing an official ribbon cutting of the park. The park is complete. Even though it's been open for several years in different stages, the park in its completion is done. The soccer fields, the recreation center, the buildings, the restrooms, the new park equipment. So there's going to be an official ribbon cutting in about 2 weeks, so it's pretty exciting. And that park is named in the honor of Deputy Wyman. So it's just down the road here from where we're sitting right now.
And that's open to who?
That is open to the public. It's part of the Whitestown Town Park System. The committee partnered with the town of Whitestown, and obviously they raise a significant amount of funds through, like I said, fundraising events, grants, and they were able to build a park, and it's pretty much complete, and it's like I said, ready to be turned back over to the town.
So Whitestown will administer it? Whitestown will keep?
From this point moving forward.
Okay. The summer coming to a close pretty quick. How'd you do with your Marine Patrol?
It's been, I don't want to jinx ourselves because we still have the big weekend ahead of us here as we wind down. But it's been an average summer, I'll say that. You know, it's been average because we use that Q word in the police world and then everything falls apart when we say that. So I'm not going to say that. But, you know, unfortunately, we did have a recent fatality on the water. Individual was out on a very small boat on a rough day, and you know,
That at Oneida Lake?
yeah, and he wasn't wearing a life jacket, and but sadly those things happen every year. You know?
So you patrol, the sheriff's office patrols White Lake?
Oneida Lake, Delta Lake, White Lake. We have Otter Lake. We have Mohawk River. We have the Barge Canal. There's a handful of other small lakes, and so we have boats docked at several waterways. We patrol as much as we can. Obviously, our busiest waterway is Oneida Lake. That's where we spend most of our time and resources. Second would be Delta. Also, I forgot half of Hinckley Lakes in Oneida County. Just rattling this off my head. Our Marine Patrol, these are full-time deputies that are assigned to other areas of the sheriff's office, and we redeploy them in the summertime for the boats. And then in the wintertime, we are on 650 miles of groomed snowmobile trails. So there's a lot going on here, with a lot of moving parts. Yeah.
When we come back, I want to talk to you about your office because I stuck my head in there and it looks like it's been renovated. Oneida County Sheriff Rob Maciol is our guest. Short break, right back. And welcome back, everybody. Thanks for sticking with us. 3 cities, 26 towns, and 17 villages. I think that's what the sheriff has to cover.
It is. It used to be 19 villages. We've lost a couple since I've been the sheriff. They've consolidated with the township. We primarily patrol the communities that don't have their police, don't have their own police. So the 3 cities, Utica, Rome, and Sherrill. That's always a trivia question.
Right.
I love talking to groups of people, and you'd be surprised how many people don't realize that Sherrill's a city here. But Utica, Rome, and Sherrill all have their own police departments, so we only go there when they request us. 26 towns, there's only 3 town police departments, New Hartford, Kirkland, and Whitestown. So we patrol the other 23 towns. And then the 17 villages, I think there's 7 or 8 village police departments. So, you know, we patrol the remaining ones. We primarily patrol them. County's set up in about 8 different patrol zones, and based on call volume. So some deputies patrol a very wide area, cover 3 or 4 townships because they may be a little quieter. And we have our pockets, and it's pretty much, not with a few exceptions, it's population and traffic driven as to where the busy parts of the county are.
Do your deputies do it the way the state police do it, and that is they rotate their hours?
We work, each year they bid by seniority to be what shift, to pick what shift they're going to be on. The patrol division works 12-hour shifts. So we're working from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., and then the second shift is 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. State police, they do 7 to 7. So that's done on purpose so that we're not all off the road at the same time. So when we're changing shifts, the troopers are still at least out there somewhere. And then when they're changing shifts, we're still out there covering. So we try to balance that out. This is our headquarters, but we have field offices for the sheriff's office in Waterville to cover the south, Barneville to cover the north, and Camden out west. And then there's deputies that come out of here. And obviously we have deputies assigned to the courthouses. So we're all over the place.
What's the total number of employees for the sheriff's office?
540. That covers all 3 divisions, law enforcement, corrections, and civil. That also covers our civilian employees. That also covers our school security unit, which we employ over 115 part-time school or special patrol officers and school resource officers.
Those are retired, mostly retired officers.
Vast majority of them are retired members of either law enforcement or corrections, and we put their goal is to keep schools safe. And then our school resource officers, which technically they're part of that same unit, but not only are they there as uniformed law enforcement, but they're also there to work with the kids, build positive relationships, maybe offer some, not counseling, but some life skills, you know, and some consequences. They talk to kids about consequences and making good choices, and like younger kids, stranger danger, things like that.
Are they uniformed?
They are uniformed.
Are they carrying
yes.
weapons?
Anybody at the sheriff's office that's in a uniform is going to be armed when they're outside there. It just has to be that way. I know there's some people that are against it, but at the end of the day, God forbid a bad guy enters a place with a gun. The only thing that's going to stop a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. But you know, our people are highly trained, and like I said, seasoned people, and we try to put people where they fit best into various positions.
You said 545.
About 540, 540. Yeah. When all the positions are full. We do have many vacancies here too. So.
I was just going to ask you about that. How many vacancies do you have?
We probably have somewhere in the neighborhood of about 10 vacancies on the law enforcement side, and in the corrections side, we have over 70 full-time vacancies.
Corrections always the more difficult, isn't it?
6 months ago, there were about 13 jails in New York State that were at critical staffing levels. Fast forward to today, there's over 50-some jails, approaching 50 jails, that are in critical staffing levels. So it's very frustrating because these are rock-solid jobs that are, you know, like I said, it's just difficult to get people to come into these careers, but they're necessary.
Yeah. I poked my head in your office. It looks a lot different than the last time I was in your office. You've kind of cleaned things up.
Yeah, I mean, I've been, like I said, a police officer for 35 years. I've been the sheriff for 13. Prior to that, I was the mayor of my hometown in New York Mills for 11 years. So I've collected a lot of stuff that people have, you know, given me, and pictures and different people I've met, and my office prior to a couple months ago was almost like a miniature museum. It got pretty cluttered, and it was time to pack things up. Some personal things we packed away that maybe someday my grandkids can look at, and we also gave some stuff away to some different groups, and we repainted and changed the look of the office so it's much less cluttered, preparing for, you know, like I said, just a different look. So.
Just off the top of my head, I probably shouldn't go down this road, but I will. You ought to think about a display down at the Oneida County History Center. I think that'd be a nice thing.
It'd be really neat. I have a lot of stuff, and we packed a lot of stuff away into totes, and they're in the back room here.
All right.
But definitely.
I'm gonna whisper in somebody's ear down there.
Absolutely.
The something that you didn't have when you came on the job was drones. You've got drones now. How are you using those?
They're used for a multitude of things. We use them for search when we have missing people. They can assist us with searching. We can cover a wide area with very little manpower. We utilize them to reconstruct like fatal car accidents or crime scenes. We use them actually whenever there's a rescue out on the waterways. We can use them out there. We also have very small drones that can be utilized in SWAT operations, so that if there's an armed individual inside a home, because we are part of a regional SWAT team. It's members of the Sheriff's Office, the Utica Police, and the New Hartford Police together. So we have a multi-agency SWAT team. And if there's an armed individual in a house and we really don't know what's going on inside that house, they'll actually break a window, send a small drone in. We've done this many times. And I'd much rather lose a $500 drone than to lose an officer's life. So we've actually can send the drone in, and they can go down the hall, room to room, and we also have a robot, but that would go in a small robot. But the drone is much easier because you can fly, you can go upstairs, you can go down. There's so many applications for it. We've had people swat them out of the air, and when they're in there, but at least we know the person's in there.
Yeah.
We've also found. Went home and found that someone may have taken their own life. And again, we're not putting an officer's life at risk. So there's a multitude of applications for the drones.
What kind of cars are the deputies driving these days?
It's basically a Ford Explorer. That's a vast majority of our units. Our patrol cars. We also have several makes for our unmarked units because we also have criminal investigations. We have a narcotics unit. We have a warrants unit. So we do have a decent complement of plainclothes personnel out, that are in various types of cars that don't look like police cars.
And how are those patrol cars equipped?
Patrol cars will have cages, radios, computers, AEDs. It's so much different from when I came on the job. I was meeting with some kids this morning who want to get into this career. I told them when I came on the job, we had a revolver that, took 6 bullets, a wooden baton, and a portable radio like this big. Mm-hmm. And now, fast forward, our deputies are carrying, tasers and collapsible batons, their weapon, body cameras, Narcan, you name it. I mean, there's so much that police officers, we respond to so many things that traditionally were never police calls before. Mm-hmm. Mental health related calls. We also have a tool that some of the deputies carry. It's called a Ebola wrap. So if we have an unarmed person who's a danger to themselves, we can actually deploy this Ebola wrap, and it's Kevlar string that'll actually wrap them at their ankles or wrap them at their waists so that they don't hurt themselves. Can't be used in all applications, but this is technology that never existed before.
Right.
That is there today to keep our people safe.
When we come back, let's talk a little bit about the jail. Sheriff Rob Maciol is our guest. Short break, right back. And welcome back, everybody. Thanks for sticking with us. Oneida County Sheriff Rob Maciol is our guest. We've been talking about a variety of things, and one of the big things to talk about when you talk about the Oneida County Sheriff's Office is the correctional facility. Big investment that was back in the day. Prior to having this facility, what did you do with? There's a difference between prisoners and inmates.
Right. A county jail has 2 types of people incarcerated in their facilities. About half our population, and I'm not correct in the half, but just to simplify it today, half our population are unsentenced inmates. These are people who are charged with, well, now I can say violent crimes, because nonviolent crimes you can't be held with bail anymore. But violent crimes, they're held here pending bail, pending hearing or some type of other court arraignment. So they haven't been sentenced yet, but they're incarcerated. The other type are sentenced inmates. That's the other half of our population. If someone is sentenced to 12 months in jail or less, they do their time with us. If a person is sentenced to more than 12 months, that's when they would leave us and we transfer them to a state prison where they would do their time. So a county jail, like I said, unsentenced inmates, and the other half of our population typically are sentenced inmates who are doing less than a year with us. But this place is like any jail, but this is one of the larger ones. There's, out of the more than 50 jails, county jails in New York State, there's 62 counties, but there's 57 sheriff's offices because the 5 boroughs in New York are combined into one sheriff. But out of the 57 or so jails, we're number 9 in size. So we're one of the larger. We're in the top 10 for size. But it's like a miniature city back there. There's a full-time medical unit, there's a full-time kitchen. I mean, they're pushing 1,500 meals or more a day out of there. We also manufacture all the Meals on Wheels for Oneida County. So any recipient that gets Meals on Wheels, they're made here, they're manufactured here, they're packaged here, they're delivered out of here. We also have a really good educational program. So any inmate that comes in that's under the age of 21, we offer them the chance to get their GED. And if they're over 21 and we can accommodate them, we'll work with them too to get their GED. We offer OSHA classes. We offer anger management classes. We cover all the various religions, Alcoholics Anonymous meetings we can do here. We work with workforce development on a transitional program so that when an inmate is leaving us, we try to find them a job. We try to find them placement for living if they don't have one. We have a drug treatment program here. It's called the MAT program, medically assisted treatment. If they come in and they're addicted to some type of substance, we provide them medication while they're with us. We also try to set them up with a navigator when they leave here so that they remain drug-free. There's just so many things happening here that never happened before. Mm-hmm. It's pretty amazing.
You have a pod system.
The new part of the jail, I say new, that opened in the late 1990s. There are 4 pods on floor 1, 4 pods on floor 2. Each of those pods have 56 cells in them, so that's a total of 448 of the 632 pods are in the new part of the jail, and there's a picture up there. And then the old part of the jail, which are the old traditional bars and cells, that's our orientation unit, where new inmates coming in or some other types of classification of inmates are held down there. We also have recreation yards because now, especially with the HALT Act in New York, sadly, and I know I'll probably get in trouble for saying this, but even our worst of the worst inmates, still by this new law, they get 7 hours of time out of their cell. I call it playtime, 7 hours of playtime. Even if they break all the rules here, we still have to let them out of their cells so they can have time to recreate. And it's just unfortunate because there's not a lot of consequences. We could do 10 shows on bail reform and the HALT Act and the negative effect it's had on our society. Plus, that's created a lot of our vacancy issues with employees, too, because it's a little frustrating that the consequences of doing things illegal just don't exist anymore.
You talked about a lot of programs there. There's also another program, I don't know if it's still up in your purview or not, but it was called the Ascent program.
Ascend is, actually, it's a program that's run through our Community Affairs Unit, Sergeant Curtis Morgan, who you met earlier. Basically, anyone with any type of special needs or maybe someone who suffers from some type of issue, you would voluntarily register with us. Your name is put into a database. That way, if we're ever responding to a call at the person's home or if we ever stop them on a traffic stop, we would know that, let's say, they have autism and they may have trouble communicating. This program allows the police officer to know that ahead of time so that they're not thinking the person's being disobedient with them. They just don't communicate because they're on the spectrum. Mm-hmm. Or maybe someone suffers from PTSD. Or something as simple as someone's got a violent dog in their house. And if we're going to go there, we got to know that. So it's an opportunity on our website where it doesn't cost anything. You register, we put you in our database at 911. So if any police agency, any fire, EMS go to your house or deal with you, they'll know whatever information about you that you want us to know about you to help you.
Something like what the fire department used to do. They used to put stickers on windows saying that there was a child in there.
Same type of thing.
Yeah. What's the policy on all the officers that are on the road patrol have body cameras?
Yes.
How about in the jail?
Yes, you'll see them, corrections officers wear body cameras, deputies wear body cameras. On the road patrol, the way it works, if a deputy gets a radio call for anything, they turn the body camera on at the time they take the call. So in addition to seeing everything that's happening at the call, we're seeing them driving to the call. And the reason for that is if you're going to a hot call and you get there and it's something in progress and you're pulling up on it, your adrenaline's flowing, the last thing you're going to remember to do is to activate your body camera. And so that's why we have to do it a little bit ahead of time. In the jail, they'd be running all the time. So the policy in there is when something's going down, if there's a fight, if there's someone has to be taken out of their cell, anything unusual, the body cam is activated. So basically the body camera is always on at all times. It's just not, it's capturing, but it's not saving the video. So when the officer hits the button, it goes back 30 seconds and starts recording. So see what I mean? It's always capturing. But that way, if you're getting into the middle of a call and you're like, oh, I forgot to turn it on, you click it on, it's going to go back 30 seconds. And it helps us a lot with personnel complaints. It helps us a lot with criminal cases for evidence, people giving admissions to things, spontaneous admissions, things of that sort. And it, like I said, it also builds a lot of rapport and faith within the community because we're being on, it's on video. Everything that's happening is.
We've only got 30 seconds, but how long are those tapes stored?
If it's something that's flagged, it's forever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Where do you keep them?
It's all in a cloud. That's way above me. I'm not an IT guy, but it's up there somewhere. So.
Always good to see you.
Thank you. Same
Thanks
here.
for having us then.
Welcome aboard.
All right. Thank you. That's going to do it for us this week. We'll be back next week. We'll do it all again. Don't forget SandWhyHomepage.com. There's lots of good stuff there. Until next time, take care of yourself, everybody.